Welcome back to The Explainer. So today we're pointing the lens at something, well, pretty much all of us have experienced, but we rarely actually deconstruct it. You walk into a classroom, grab a seat, and you just kind of expect the person standing at the front to effortlessly have it all together, right? But the immense, honestly staggering expectations placed on modern educators, it's wild. Today, we're completely dissecting the anatomy of an educator and uncovering the meticulous science behind how they're actually trained. Let's get into it.
Really think about it for a second. Surgeons practice on cadavers before they ever touch a living patient. Pilots clock hundreds of hours in these incredibly complex flight simulators. But how do you practice the art of teaching? How on earth does an educator actually manage to systematically practice and perfect such a complex, multifaceted craft before stepping into a real classroom filled with, dozens of expectant, totally unpredictable faces?
Okay, let's dive into this. Here's our roadmap for today. First up, the many roles of teachers. Second, we'll break down the anatomy of an educator. Third, introducing micro-teaching. This is where the secret training methodology comes in. And finally, the steps to mastery. Quick and easy, let's go!
All right, part one, the many roles of teachers. Let's see how they actually navigate the modern classroom. We've got to go rapid fire here, because the daily demands on a modern teacher are incredibly heavy. Just look at the hats they have to wear, often simultaneously before the lunch bell even rings. They've got to be a motivator, a facilitator, a democratic leader, a guide, a counselor, navigating all that middle school drama, a mentor, and honestly, perhaps most importantly, a social engineer. A teacher isn't just someone who reads facts from a textbook. No way. They are literally a social engineer and a democratic leader actively shaping lives and molding the future structures of our society.
And when you zoom out to look at the broader perspectives of their role, you see them operating as an input, a manager, a facilitator, a counselor, a community leader, and what educational literature actually calls a systemist. What's a systemist? Well, it basically means you aren't just teaching a single subject. You're an operator inside a massive moving educational machine. You're coordinating with parents, juggling administrators, navigating complex policy. And to carry all that weight, an educator absolutely needs a profound foundation, a deep passion for teaching, a genuine love for kids, and this innate ability to seamlessly collaborate with their students.
Okay, moving right along to part two, the anatomy of an educator. What actually makes a great teacher tick? So we know about the exhausting roles they have to play, right? But what makes a good teacher internally? Like, what specific qualities do you actually need as a human being to pull off those demanding roles day in and day out without completely burning out?
Well, there's a brilliant mnemonic anchor to help us remember these core traits. It's literally the word teacher. T is for temperance, keeping a totally level head under pressure. E is for empathy, truly understanding a student's struggles. A stands for affectionate, building genuine rapport. C is for cheerful, bringing a positive, engaging energy into the room. H is for hard work because, let's face it, those behind-the-scenes hours are brutal. E stands for ethics, modeling solid moral behavior. And finally, R is for rational, making objective, fair decisions. These 7 traits right here, they form the absolute necessary internal scaffolding of a successful educator.
And this brilliantly illustrates how these abstract traits actually show up in the real world. They break down into 3 distinct pillars: physical aspects, inner virtues, and executive abilities. Look at how these elements have to intersect. A really effective teacher needs the physical aspect, like a rich, melodious voice and clear grammar, combined seamlessly with inner virtues like justice, patience, and compassion, all while constantly exercising the executive abilities of adaptation and resourcefulness. It's not just one thing, it's a complete, holistic package.
Which brings us to part 3, introducing micro-teaching. This is the ultimate training ground. Let's get into it.
Okay, I actually want to slow down for a second here, because looking at that massive list of required qualities we just covered, it can feel totally overwhelming. How do you even train someone for all of that? Well, the answer lies in a pretty amazing historical breakthrough. Back in 1961, Dwight W. Allen and his colleagues at Stanford University introduced a brand new technique to solve this exact problem of teacher preparation.
It's called micro-teaching. The technical definition? It's a highly structured teaching method where the teacher teaches a small group of students in a short period to master new skills in a controlled environment. Remember our flight simulator analogy from earlier? It's exactly like that. This method intentionally isolates specific teaching skills to build up the teacher's confidence, literally stripping away all the chaos and unpredictability of trying to manage a full-size classroom.
So the crucial point is captured perfectly in Dwight W. Allen's own philosophy. He defined it super simply.
a teaching method that reduces class size and time. It's entirely about reduction. You're stripping away all the noise so you can focus entirely on the actual technique.
But just how much reduction are we talking about? Look at this number, 5 to 10. In micro-teaching, the student-teacher isn't facing down a daunting room of 30 or 40 wild kids. Not at all. They're facing a highly controlled, incredibly small group of exactly 5 to 10 learners.
And those strict constraints, they don't stop there. 5 to 10. That is also the exact duration in minutes. 5 to 10 students for 5 to 10 minutes. It's such a powerful, memorable constraint, right? It forces the trainee to focus absolutely on one single, isolated skill, like just how to introduce a topic, or literally just how to write on a chalkboard, without having to worry about pacing a sprawling 45-minute lesson plan.
So summarizing the core characteristics here, micro-teaching deals with significantly less content. It involves a much smaller number of learners, it has a drastically shorter duration, and overall, it is just vastly less complex than regular teaching. These constraints are completely by design. They purposefully create a safe simulation. It's like a laboratory where a student-teacher can practice, experiment, and safely make mistakes before they ever have to face a real, massive classroom. It ensures that when they finally teach your kids, they are fully 100% prepared.
All right, let's move into our final act, Part 4, the steps to mastery, or as I like to call it, the loop of perfection.
Let's see how this actually builds into a practical procedural loop. It all starts with the setup. Step 1. You have to precisely define the specific teaching skill to be developed, say asking probing questions. Step 2. The expert teacher-trainer demonstrates that exact skill so the standard is crystal clear. And Step 3. The student-teacher then meticulously prepares a highly detailed, targeted lesson plan that absolutely requires the use of that one specific skill.
Next up is the execution phase. Step 1, the student-teacher actually gets up and teaches that short 5 to 10 minute simulation lesson, right there with observers present. Step 2, those observers immediately provide laser-focused feedback specifically aimed at improving that targeted skill. And Step 3, based on that feedback, they immediately set up sessions for restructuring the lesson plan, reteaching it, and getting re-feedback. The critical importance here, the absolute immediacy of that targeted feedback. It is a real game changer.
Now, what's genuinely fascinating here is the relentless, cyclical nature of this whole process. Just look at this flow. Planning, teaching, feedback, replanning, reteaching, re-feedback. It is a continuous, unbroken loop. The student-teacher doesn't just, nod and move on to the next concept. No way. This exact 6-stage loop is relentlessly repeated over and over, 5 to 10 minutes at a time, until total, undeniable mastery of that specific skill is achieved. It's practice makes perfect, literally.
Which brings us to the end of our explainer, and it leaves us with a truly provocative question. Are great teachers simply born, just naturally gifted from day one with traits like temperance and empathy? Or, as we've seen today, are they systematically built, engineered from the ground up through the relentless scientific repetition of planning, teaching, and feedback? The evidence definitely points to the incredible power of structured practice. We expect a massive amount from our educators, but the mechanics behind how they actually meet those expectations is nothing short of fascinating. Thanks so much for joining me to decode this topic today, and keep learning.